Okay, so we're ready to start. We're here to talk about the North Harris Water Main Lining Project. I'm Larry Searles, Public Works Director.
Tasha Humphreys, City Engineer.
And we have some of our elected officials and residents in the room with us. We're going to go through, describe the project, the size, the scope, the impact, and leave it out in the public for reference. The concept of this job is to take care of the water main that's been increasing in break frequency over the past 10 years. We're going to take it out of service from just north of Henry Street and right up to the railroad easement around Clark Street. The pipe will be out of service. The tuberculation that's inside will be cleaned out, get it down to the metal, put a liner in. The liner is of structural strength, which means it's basically its own water main. Once it's cured, it's the outside of the water main condition will not have any negative impact. We chose this method. We have a visual of open cut where you got to dig through the street, and obviously that's not the size pipe we're working with, but it clearly shows there's a large disruption when we start excavating the water main out. On Harris Street, the water main is towards the center of the street. By doing the rehab method, the pipelining method, we're not going to have closures on Harris Street. We'll be able to maintain traffic at least in one direction and not lose all of that great asphalt profile.
And this next slide just shows the project areas that Larry just talked about earlier. This here is Michigan Avenue. City Hall's right here. So it goes from south of Michigan to just north of Henry. The project will go from here all the way up to just north of Clark to the trail crossing up here by Brecken Park. This is 2,200 linear feet of water main that's going to be lined. And as Larry said, one lane of traffic will be opened at all times. So you can get through here, local traffic, to get home and such. Here's a project timeline. We're expecting some traffic control material to be delivered over the next week or so, and getting started with the project. I think on March 18th is this coming Monday. The total budget for this project is $1.2 million. And to kind of talk a little bit about what Larry was saying earlier about project costs, this linear footage of water main is about what we replaced last year on the East Belt Maple Road project. When you take into account the water main and the road costs for that, this is over half the cost of that. That cost on the East Belt project for the water portion and road was about $3 million, and this is about 1.2. So that just goes to show how this trenchless technology is saving the asset of the road and improving the asset of our water main, all at a cost savings to ultimately all of the ratepayers of the system. I think we touched base on most of these things. Traffic control coming this week. You will see access pits in the road. Larry's going to talk a little bit about decommissioning and the existing water main and how folks, the impacts to residents who live here are, how they'll get water during the duration of this project, and we have some videos after that.
On the screen right now, you see the elements of the temporary bypass. There's a 2 to 4 inch water main. It's actually water main on the ground. They use asphalt millings to make a ramp so that traffic can travel over it and it doesn't damage the water system. They'll be coming into the water will be delivered into the home through the outside hose bib. We will be knocking on the doors to get in the houses to drop the meters. We're not able to meter the water during this project because we need the air gap for cross connection compliance as this project's going on. There will be rubber hoses from the temporary service up to the house. And next slide. And when the picture that's on the screen right now is actually lining in progress. So this picture, they've taken the water main out of service, meaning they've isolated it. They've already set up the temporary bypass system. And that's what you're going to see is a couple of trucks. The water liner goes in, gets pulled through the main. After it's clean, then it's cured. Then they put it back together. Next slide. We're going to show you a couple videos of water main lining that really detail the process.
Under every municipality, there are large water mains that carry water from the source to businesses and homes just like yours. When these were first installed, metal pipes were the best option. However, most of these pipes have now corroded. When that happens, it causes buildup and breakage, leading to damage and costly repairs. This is where we come in. FERPAL has been helping municipalities rehabilitate aging water mains since 1986. But how, you might ask? Well, that's a good place to start. FERPAL rehabilitates old water mains through a process called cured-in-place piping, essentially building a new water main inside the old one. The first step in this process is installing a bypass system. This means that residents will have water connected to their property at all times during construction. Next, we cut into the water main and clean out any rust or buildup on the inside. Using a metal scraper and high-power water jet, we restore the water main back to its original metal interior. After that, we send a robot with a camera into the main. This allows us to see what we are working with, while also plugging the services off the water main to make sure they are left unaffected when lining the pipe. We follow this step by inserting our liner into the water main. The liner is a polyester jacket which we inject with an epoxy resin on site. Once the liner is in place, we inflate it with hot water, allowing the epoxy to cure, giving it its strength. Once our liner has hardened, we send through another robot to drill out the services and re-establish a connection to each property. After the robot is done, we test the newly rehabilitated water main and reconnect it to the existing system. What's left is a brand new water main without the cost and excavation that comes with a typical water main replacement. Now that you know a little more about water's journey to your home, what do you say we make it a safe one? Ask for FERPAL. FERPAL, helping your community help you.
So I want to point out on the video, that was actually a time lapse. The second one was actually a time lapse. And as you can see, there was traffic moving, there was pedestrian movements. The residents and businesses on that street were able to have water the whole time. It's just a minute, 5 minutes or so when they hook you in, and 5 minutes when they reinstall the meter at the start and finish of the job. That's really what we're doing on North Harris with the lining job. We will have information on the DPW website and other various channels. I would expect that we're going to leave a update code like we usually do.
An update, what?
QR code.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So any relevant updates that will be, there will be a code for you you can scan on the DPW website page. And also, we will be door knocking. We'll be putting notices directly on the doors. Tasha?
No, I think that's everything. I don't know if there's any. you want to have
There are
any
no
questions?
questions online currently, but if you want to take some from those in the audience, we welcome that.
Jim?
What is the material that?
Well, the name of it is Aquapipe. It's dual polyester fiber woven liner with fused thermal polyurethane membrane on inner jacket.
When you control, you choose or control the schedule, 24 meetings, do you do that and put different vendors in or?
No, I honestly, Jim, I don't know if there's a class. I know this one is one that hits at the AWWA standards for pressure. And then it gives me the specs that it's rated for the 150 PSI of operating pressure and the flow, Hazen Williams flow rating of 120. So
Is it ductile iron now?
it is ductile iron now.
I'm sure that fails place, you said this can stand alone.
Yes. Yes. Once the liner's cured, the old pipe can actually break off. It won't have any impact.
What's the diameter of the current?
12-inch. And it's 8-inch on both sides of it, right?
Yes, it's 8-inch to the north. I'm not certain to the south, though.
Yeah, it might have a 12-inch one
Yes.
from your south.
Because it's at Henry and Harris.
Pardon me?
How do you cut in the drill? Is it tactical land drill?
Yeah, so in the when they open up these pits, their access pits, I think we have 7. They cut the pipe out of the way. That's your opening. That they do all the work from there. They run cable through, and then they put it on 2 pulleys. So they scrape one way, they pull a swab through, they pull the camera through. So it just keeps going back and forth until the pipe is clean and dry. Then the liner gets pulled through.
Okay, did you see the isolation tape, the gate valve, and something like
Cut
Actually,
it
liner
out.
to a plan?
The gate valves are cut out of the way. The valves are out of the way, and then they go back in. We'll be putting new valves back in.
After a few.
Yes. Yep.
Still no questions online?
Will weather impact the construction project?
Not nearly as negatively as an open cut because there will not be any places for mud to start going. Right. We won't have the mud. We won't have the dust. So it would maybe rain them out for a work day, but it won't make the site terrible.
Will people living along this temporary line notice any loss of water pressure as a result?
I would. I will not say no. It will be different, but it's going to stay well above what they need to function in the home.
Larry, when you mentioned there's going to be like black hose that connects each individual home, where does that connect and how is that connected?
It will be blue, and it will. So the temporary water pipe will have basically what would look just like a tap. It's hard to see. Right here is a tap coming out. You have 2 options for each tap. They actually tap the collars of the pipe. So they'll have either a plug or a double T in there. The hose hooks in, they run it up to the house, into the hose bit, and turn it on.
Oh, this goes into a sill truck, those deals.
So we connect to the outside.
Yes, and you see how this is a Y? This hose, one of these hoses is the garden hose, and the other one's the service hose. So it will not be the way Yes, yes.
Still nothing online?
Larry, are you phasing it, so part of Paris will be off and then it'll be back on and then it'll go down the line, or is it all off at the same time?
Well, so we'll get the temporary setup, chlorinate it, back T-sample it, hook the houses up, and they'll have water. And then we'll take the water main on Harris out of service. So the main will actually go out of service all at once, but the residents will not be without water. Does that make sense? Because Eric, this project's going to go all in a kind of a sequence. So they'll be cleaning this segment of pipe while they're lining this segment of pipe. They'll be putting this segment back together. You know, they'll kind of leapfrog and then come back.
It'll be off the full length.
Yes, yep.
So question for you, and the mayor may, there was a resident that was attending the mayor's coffee hour recently that talked about that they currently have low pressure on North Harris, I think, on the northern part of where the project will be. So are they gonna even have lower pressure?
I wouldn't even know without looking into it. Janet, I've not heard of it.
I can look up the gentleman's address and refer to you tomorrow or Friday. If you'd like to follow.
And then my next question is, are they going under Michigan Ave?
Well,
Yes.
the pipe is already under Michigan Ave. They're lining that pipe. Yep. Yeah, I'm not leaving Michigan Ave.
Yeah, so, and as far as the pressure, I mean, there's one part of that question that to get that specific address and look at potentially something inside the home if it's a localized or system problem. But what this project will do is just take this line out, which will eliminate a loop, which will ultimately decrease the pressure a little bit across the entire system. But I think it'll be negligible to the homes, especially because there are, and especially people north of here, they're looped throughout amongst all of those streets. So it helps, and it's connected to our main line on Ann Arbor and our main line up on Woodland.
You're getting a smaller pipe, a smoother pipe. The pressure should be.
And the end of this, exactly. Yes, absolutely. And we did observe that from the West Michigan lining project. So,
You might have a restriction on the
I mean, East Michigan, I apologize.
restriction of the
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's a good point. That after the project is done, you would expect to have better pressure because we have increased decreased the friction in the pipe, which will increase the pressure that the residents see.
Want to know where along the main to drill.
And that's a good question.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. They just flew right past that. So the robot that comes in, they insert these plugs. So they drive the robot that has a camera and a little mechanical arm, and he puts a RFID and LED light lit plug in the opening from the inside of the court. The liner goes by and they can either read the RFID or see the light flashing behind it, and that's where the drill knows. The second robot with the drill, that's how it knows where to drill. And when you saw the video and you seen that like red circle around the main, they actually get in and give it a 3D profile. And if we were in a confused, congested commercial area, they can also get a sub-centimeter GPS location of each service coming into the main. And that's when you have a lot of redevelopment on a main and you have a bunch of holes in it and you don't know which ones are live still. So, but for this one, we don't have to. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and it gets us some good data for where the leads are. So,
Do we anticipate using this somewhere else in the next couple of years?
the lining?
Yes.
Example?
Industrial.
Yes. Industrial, north of campus to south of Woodland. Yes, that's our next, and that's in,
highest frequency, membrane frequency pipe in the system. And it's the same issue as Harris.
yes.
Should have lasted longer, but it's not.
And we have that in the capital improvement plan for 2016.
2016?
2016, 2026.
2026. I wondered why you were looking at me like that.
Just for clarification, it says one lane of traffic will be available throughout the duration. Is it one way then? So which way is traffic flow?
We,
We're not sending you a detour, are we?
no, we're not setting up a detour.
It's
We're sending traffic north, right? Or are we sending it? I'll get back to you on that. I can't
But
remember.
it will be a one.
One way, and I can't remember which direction.
Okay.
City Engineer Humphries, DPW Director Searles, we do not have any questions online. 3 people watching currently, so unless there are additional questions from those in the audience, I think we can probably wrap it up.
Just one thing.
Yes.
Branch connections coming from the residents to the main, how's that done? So they'll go up, make it drill,
Yeah.
but then it's 2 different materials, right?
Oh, how is it done?
How do you make the branch connection of the new liner?
It's already connected. So the corp is already connected to the main. And when it's drilled out, all that resin, so the corp is poked into the main, the resin will hold that corp in, and it will no longer ever to be able to be threaded out of the main. And if it's a saddle type, the resin gets up into the saddle, again, holds that corp in place.
Larry, I was looking at the specs and it said the company assumed that the water main was at 6 feet.
We already walked it. Yeah, we already walked it. We know there's deeper spots. That's their standard agreement. They have 0 to 6, 0 to 7, 7 to 12. They have different pricing points for their pits. We did walk that because we know at least 3 spots it's over 7 feet.
Right, so like if it's 8 feet, is that 30% more that they charge you to go down to it?
I don't have the pricing sheet in front of me, but we already established that as we set the budget.
What about under 12, is that like all 2 feet?
So it only matters where they're digging, right? So if the main dips down and there's not a excavation pit, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the price.
Are there, maybe question, are there 245s where it goes under 12?
Yes, there are, yes, there, in those, and all the bends in the pipe there'll be a pit there.
If there's 45s, we can line through.
Well, I just noticed they said if they're within 25 feet of each other or less than 25, they can't do it, so I was just wondering what that meant.
Well, that would mean they wouldn't be able to, but I'm fairly certain we're going to get through this one. I don't know what's actually under the ground.
I was wondering what physically they can't.
So the 45s, 25 feet was like 4 or 5 years ago technology. It's gotten a lot better. Smaller diameter pipes, less being able to maneuver through bends. Larger diameter pipes, they can maneuver through bends better. And then the bend and everything is all one. It's all one pipe, continuous pipe when they're done.
So they might open it up at the top.
Yep, yep. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.